again, it's Amanda with UnHinged magazine, and we're here with Eric Selby. He's an award-winning artist-producer that has been inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame. I mean, like, how awesome is that? And he's been at the #1 spot on Blues 411's charts multiple times and has so many more bragging rights, along with a plethora of accolades. So why have you might not have heard of him before if he's so awesome? It's because he's typically behind the scenes. He's a sought-after producer that's highly versatile in many genres, traveling all over the country, providing services and talents to well-known artists for years. So now Eric's decided to step out of those shadows and come out front, releasing his first solo record of original music entitled Do, Baby. This isn't just one style or genre either. It's a culmination of opportunities he's had throughout his musical travels, and it's definitely worth checking out. To me, it's almost like the perfect road trip playlist. So explain the biggest difference between what you've been doing throughout the years versus what now you're venturing out to.
Well, thanks, Amanda. In the past, I was mostly a drummer for blues artists, and I love doing that. It's been it's provided me a great life, and I appreciate all the artists and projects that I've worked on. And throughout all that, I was playing guitar and playing piano and just enjoying music. Who doesn't, right? But the songs that I've written were mostly just to entertain myself in my living room. I never even thought that I would put them on a record per se, So I got to a point where I probably had, dozens of songs and had the time and thought, what the heck, why don't I put it out and record it and make it actually produced and gather friends who I've played with, who I respect along the way, who've really pitched in and made this record sound great. And it's really been fun to step out and be the front guy for a change.
How has the pandemic screwed up the plans with releasing your first album?
A lot of friends, family, and media have asked me that question. And the funny thing is that it really hasn't screwed up my plans at all, because I am a musician first and foremost and a drummer. That's my drug of choice, if you will. But I never intended for this to tour this record. I never intended particularly to play this record live. It was always intended to be a studio record. So when I was talking to different folks and they were saying, hey, you may want to hold off on releasing the record, I'm like, you know what? I'm not touring this record. Let's go ahead and put it out. So I think in certain weird ways, I hate to say it's helped it, but maybe a little, because people are home and in front of their computers like we are right now, and they're more apt to sit down and listen to something or try something out that they wouldn't normally when they're in their busy lives when it was post, or I should say pre-pandemic, and hopefully soon post.
Right. So the album cover, it's got this mellow, hippie, playful feel. Did you come up with the concept yourself, or do you work with an artist? Is it a friend, or how'd the album cover come about?
It's interesting. It's about the album cover. A lot of people have asked about that cover, and the person who created it for me, her name is Kelly Wills, and she is with her own design firm, which just do amazing work, called Brain Flower Designs. And what's cool about Kelly is that rather than just saying, okay, give me the idea or let me come up with some ideas, she really wanted to talk about each individual song. She wanted to listen to the songs. She said, hey, can you send them to me? I'm like, oh, they're not done yet. She goes, no, I don't care. Let me hear even the roughs so I can get the vibe for the tune. And what I decided to do was put out, it's an EP, so it's 6 tunes. And she made a cover for every song.
Yeah, so little blocks. Yeah.
Right. So I put out, each individual song, and it had its own cover. But then when the EP came out, they all just lined up perfectly. And each block, if you will, represents her concept of that particular song.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense now, because I was like, yeah, it's almost like little album covers in one big album cover. So.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So who is someone completely random that you've met throughout your musical musical journey that you might have fangirled over a little bit?
Oh, there's so many, you know. Let me think. I've had the good fortune of playing with some amazing musicians and artists, and mostly of the blues genre. And so I had a chance to meet, James Cotton before he passed. I had the opportunity to meet. I opened a good friend and fellow artist who I play drums for. His name is Billy Thompson. And Billy and I had the opportunity to open up for the Doobie Brothers in San Diego and to hang out.
Wow.
Just to hang out with those guys, and the Doobie Brothers, the guys, I had the chance to meet some great folks from Bonnie Raitt and Bonnie Raitt's band, and playing with Billy. We've recorded with, or I should say, I'm on recordings with, because everything is so virtual nowadays when you record. But on recordings with Daryl Johnson, and I'm trying to think all the great guys, Mike Finnegan, Hutch Hutchins, just great music. And Mike Finnegan, he's with Bonnie Raitt's band, but he was with Stephen Stills. He's on a Jimi Hendrix album. Just to play with the guys who have really influenced me. I still fanboy. I still get all excited when I meet these guys, and I have to pinch myself,
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen that you've done work with people affiliated with the Allman Brothers. Now that's like my Allman Brothers. I love Blackberry Smoke because of the Allman Brothers, band. And yeah, so that I'd be like, calm me down. So.
Yeah, I say they're all great musicians. Like, and you meet them, and when you meet them, you're like, oh, you are fanboying or fangirling a little bit, and you realize they're such laid back, cool people, and they totally get it, and they aren't full of themselves. If anything, they're as happy meeting you as you are meeting them.
You've been saturated with music for your entire career. However, if that had not been an option, what would you think you'd be doing right now as a career?
I actually am blessed that I was a full-time musician for a while, but I'm also, I have a day job. I actually have a day job and work both. And I found that for me, that works. For some people, it doesn't work. They need to focus on one thing. But I found for me, even when I was on tour, during the days, I would other musicians, without naming names, would just sort of hang out or sleep or whatever. And I was up and I wanted something to do. So me continuing to work my day job, which I could do remotely at times, has been really beneficial. And, in the evenings, I spend my time focusing on music. And I felt like I have a good balance for it, and it's worked well in my life.
Without naming names for obvious reasons, what's one of the most frustrating or stressful projects or events you've worked on? Like some weird, demands or something that just wanted to make you just quit?
Well, I've never wanted to quit. There's just been frustrating times. And I think that those frustrating times which you speak of goes with anything, right? Whether you have a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, whether you're in the music business, if you're a parent, if you're, whatever is happening in your life, those frustrating times those are the times where you decide to sink or swim. So when I am faced with adversity, usually I get quiet, hunker down, and put my nose to the grindstone. So to answer your question, some tours are tough, and being around folks that maybe have different lifestyles than you do, and have different schedules than you do, and you're trying to there's a 5:30 call in the lobby call to jump in the van, and you're still waiting around by 7:30 for somebody. Those are frustrating times, and you're racing to get to the next town. And then also, when in the studio, studio can be, I love the studio, and studio can be really fun. It's always work, but it can also be frustrating too, because you're trying to create something for someone, and you're trying to deliver that under pressure, under schedule, or you're trying to pull something out of someone for your own project, and they're not quite getting there, and you're like, okay, let's try it this way, and finally you say, okay, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix this thing in editing. So
Right.
But nothing major. It's all been pretty solid.
That's good. That's awesome. And listening to your album, and I wasn't kidding earlier, it really is a mashup of so many genres. And it's subtle, but you can tell the difference between each song. And overall, though, it's just so chill. And I could totally see spacing out on the road, traveling across country, just like letting it just be in the background. But has anyone ever told you that your voice is almost Tom Petty-ish, like in this album?
No, they haven't. Although I certainly take that as a compliment. I think I've always tried to. I'm not a singer. I'm a drummer, right? So
Yeah.
Thank God for my producer Marco Del Mar, who made me sound like a singer more than I actually am. But no, I try to sing with my speaking voice. A lot of folks, without naming names, will sing in a completely different voice than what their actual voice is.
I have noticed, yes.
Yeah, so rather than trying to go there, for me anyway, I just sing. I sing the way I talk, and so hopefully that's worked out well.
So tell us about your concept for the album. It's rare for an artist to create such an all over the place genre album in regards to sound. So tell us how you came about with the concept.
Well, it's kind of like one of those records where I didn't intend for it to be conceptual. It just kind of fell into place well. Each song, I think, sounds different, kind of comes from a different place, because that's where I come from. And I've had the pleasure of playing with, blues artists. I've had the pleasure of playing with funk bands. I've had the pleasure of playing with country artists and all of that, and I grew up in music, just listening to really cool bands, whether it was, from the Beatles to Johnny Winter to whoever, and now I'm listening, to Dawes and, which are just great songwriters. I think that the concept wasn't the intention, but there's an underlying wave, if you will, between all the songs. And when you write songs at a certain time, you have a certain vibe going on in your life. So I try to sing about where I was in my life, and and again, bringing up Marco Del Mar's name again, we put all this. We had the songs, and we sat down and kind of said, where do each song? How does each song fit into the next one? One of our thoughts was actually every song was going to fade, very Pink Floyd-y, I know, but every song was going to fade into the next one. And we went with the concept of, if you listen to the CD anyway, there's no breaks. There's a 1 second break in between each song. So we thought about connecting them with audio, but we think they kind of connect unto themselves. So to come up with the concept, there really wasn't a concept, but I think a lot of concept albums that are defined as concept albums were never intended to be. Look at I would never compare myself to Sgt. Pepper, but Sgt. Pepper was never considered to be a concept album, but a lot of people think of it as one.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and speaking of, you're so very obviously a drummer, as we've said. I mean, you were even featured in Modern Drummer. So what other instruments can you play?
Well, I'm the youngest of 5 sons, and all of us played instruments, and that's why I ended up playing drums, actually, because by the time I came along and had the wherewithal to understand music, the guitar had been taken, bass had been taken, piano had been taken, right? So they needed a drummer. So I ended up playing drums. But I started out early on piano, like most kids do at 7 years old, playing piano. I play guitar. And then drums came along at 9, simply because, it was process of family elimination. And that, I'm thankful at the time, like, I don't want to play drums, right? As a 9-year-old, but I'm thankful for it, because it's gotten me to the point where I'm sitting here talking to you.
Right. And I mean, so you're with Soul Stew Records, and they have a huge list of great artists. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
But where do you see yourself going with this newest release? Are you going to go keep doing your own stuff? Are you going to keep producing for others, or?
Well, yeah, I think I'm going to do everything. Why not? I want the world, and I want it now. So when it comes to playing, with other projects, I'm really psyched to play with the projects I'm playing with now, and includes Billy Thompson, includes Don Chapman, Dean Kernban, Fractal Cat. I mean, there's just a ton of projects that I'm just like, I love playing drums in those projects. When it comes to producing, I should tell you, Soul Stew Records is my label. So I produce a lot of those artists, and I'm psyched about doing that too. And then on my own stuff, I was gonna make this and just take a chill pill for a while, but because of the response I've gotten on the record, and also I hate to say it, but because we have a lot more downtime right now, I've gone back into the studio and started on the next one. So I'm doing it all right now. I'm in the studio working on the next record. A record just came out by Norman Taylor on our label, which I'm producing, and I'm working on the other projects for drums and percussion. So I'm in.
That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it because I was impressed. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
So one of my favorite questions to ask people, and I have to ask it for everybody because the responses are amazing. Do you have a useless talent?
A useless talent. I think a useless talent that I have may be the ability to cook. Actually, this is useful, but I'm going to use it to cook a full Thanksgiving dinner. Whereas, yeah, I'm in. Like I can do the turkey, I can do the stuffing, I can do everything. So and it got to a point after I graduated college, I was living with roommates, and they would ask me to fix them turkey dinner, and I would fix them turkey dinner like in the middle of July because I could throw that stuff down.
So with all of your experiences throughout the years, if you were forced to choose a musician or an artist, even an entire band to be quarantined with this whole time in order to collaborate on a project, who would it be?
I have, it's easy to say the Beatles, right? But I think right now there's a band that I'm just like, I mentioned them earlier, a band called Dawes. And I don't know, are you familiar with Dawes? It's spelled DAWES. Okay. And this band, I think their songwriting is incredible. And what I like about the band, in addition to the incredible songwriting, all the instrumentation is part of the communication delivery. So it's not like drums and keyboards.
The instruments speak, not just the lyrics.
Without a doubt, like even the drummer, the drums are talking through the whole thing. Certain songs, they start with the drums and end with the drums. And yeah, I just think that the band, it's a band that I've come across of late that just has the whole package: songwriting, musicianship, attitude, just everything. I love them.
I'll definitely have to go check them out.
Check them out.
Yeah, hopefully they might even be up for an interview.
Cool.
All right, so we won't keep you long. Is there anything you want to shout out to fans? Any words of advice through this COVID crap? Any upcoming events that you want to just shout out? We can plug in. What would you like to say, just in general?
I want to thank all the musicians that really just, I want to say, tracked on the record. They performed on the record. They made this record really sound amazing. And there's so many I had to write them down. So first and foremost, my co-producer, Marco Del Mar, he played multiple instruments and produced the record, did a great job. Don Chapman, Christopher Brown, Les Hatley, Wes Lanik, Billy Thompson, Miles Gannett, Sean P. Finn, Donnie Walton, and Jay Summerhour. I mean, all these guys just did an amazing job, and I'm so indebted to them. And as I mentioned on the record, I said I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, and I really believe that. I appreciate them and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Love it. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.